Welcome back to the Double Trouble Podcast. This is the 7th episode and the 2nd episode of Season 2. And we are at the point where we're right before the NBA season. The preseason started a few days ago, and the NBA season starts in exactly 7 days, a week. I've been watching a little bit of preseason basketball, and I feel like there's some things that you can take from it. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of preseason. But, it's mainly in preparedness for the NBA season, which comes in a week. We have on opening night Nets Warriors, which is it's not KD's return to Golden State because it's in Brooklyn, but it's going to be a good game. Steph versus KD, and the Lakers versus Clippers, which that's very funny. It's the Lakers ring ceremony in Los Angeles against the Clippers. The Clippers have to watch the Lakers hold up their banner. That is hilarious. But, that's what we have in a week. And preseason, it started on Saturday with the Knicks Pistons, and that was a big game. We got to watch Killian Hayes and Obi Toppin, two big rookies, go at it. I watched a little bit of the first half of that game, and Killian Hayes, he's good for what you want from Killian Hayes. He's not going to go out, he's not going to win Rookie of the Year, but Killian Hayes, he's a great playmaker. He can make plays, he can get rebounds, and his defense is very good as well. And I think him learning from Derrick Rose, that's one of the best players you can learn from, because Derrick Rose has been through literally all you can in the NBA. With his injuries, he's won an MVP, he's been at the highest point you can, and he's been at the lowest point you can, which I feel like makes things like that's a great player to learn from. And that's a great player for Killian Hayes to learn from. I don't know how long Derrick Rose will be there, as there's talk that he will be traded at the trade deadline. But for now, for the start of the season, Derrick Rose and Killian Hayes, that is a great backcourt. I don't know how much they're gonna play together, but even if Derrick Rose comes off the bench, that is a great mentorship for the Pistons. Now, Obi Toppin came in off the bench. Obi Toppin and Mitchell Robinson do not start for the New York Knicks. And I know Mitchell Robinson hasn't started much throughout his entire career, but I think with Thibs that should change. Nerlens Noel shouldn't start Mitchell Robinson, because the Knicks' mindset should be developing their young guys. So I'd run a lineup like Peyton, Burks, Barrett, Toppin, and Robinson, because three of those guys are extremely young, and three of those guys are who that your main goal should be to develop them. And I feel like it's really weird that they're coming off the bench right now. This is just preseason. I don't know. They could be being saved for the regular season, but right now they should be starting. Because the Knicks, understand Noel and Randall are better if you want to win now. First of all, I think Randall should be in trade talks. I don't think he should finish the season with New York. New York should try to ship Randall for maybe some draft picks and assets that they can use for something. Because right now, Julius Randle is not a player that should be coming off the bench, because he's a very quality player, especially for a winning team. And right now, he's not on that. I understand he wanted the money, and I understand that contract may not come with many suitors for Randle, but I think that's what the Knicks should be trying to do. I think they should be trying to get Randle away and ship him off. Now, Bulls Rockets was one of the biggest games on the preseason opening night. It was big for a multitude of reasons. John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were back. It was their first time playing in over a year, and they looked pretty good. I think many people were like, John Wall was incredible. Coming off of the multiple of injuries he did, and the difficulty it took to come off those injuries, and obviously it's just one preseason game. We need to know if he's going to stay healthy. We need to know how well he's going to go throughout the course of a season. But for one game to come in and see what you can do, he was very good. He had 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists. He played about a half. He was very good. He was efficient. He was driving to the basket. That mid-range jumper was so silky. And he's not going to be the John Wall that's going to posterize people. He's not going to do that anymore. He's getting older, and he has to, he has to change the way he plays after coming off those injuries. But if he can go, he can dribble, he can iso, he can cross. He was giving Patrick Williams problems. Patrick Williams was trying his best, but the crossover, he was just better. He was just better than most of the people on the court. And that's how he was on the Wizards. And if he can come back and do that, James Harden will be coming back. I don't know for how long, but James Harden will be playing basketball on the Rockets. If he can do that, hey, that's going to be a good team. For DeMarcus Cousins look good as well. I think once James Harden is traded, one thing they should really utilize is the John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins pick and roll. And I don't know who they're going to trade James Harden for. If it's Ben Simmons, I think Ben Simmons is playing power forward now. He was playing power forward in the bubble, and I don't know if they're going to go back to him at power forward or he's going to play point guard again, but he was playing power forward. So if the Rockets get him, I would think he goes back to power forward, and I don't know what that means for Christian Wood. I don't know. The Ben Simmons Rockets thing, I'm about to discuss that in a second, but the DeMarcus Cousins had 14 points, 5 rebounds on 70% shooting. That was the big thing about Wall and Cousins. They both shot over 70% from the field. They were efficient. They were playing well. Now on to the James Harden saga. James Harden has not played a single preseason game yet with the Rockets because he's had to test. He will play tonight. 8 o'clock, they take on the Spurs. James Harden will play in that game. But him missing so long is a head scratcher. He was at a little baby's birthday party with no mask, no nothing. In the midst of the NBA season, it was practice the next day. Due to the NBA's protocols, he was not going to be able to attend practice. James Harden does not care. He's doing anything to get out of Houston. We know this. But I just think it's just crazy, this whole situation. Because Houston's team is not that bad to where James Harden should be doing all of this. He's acting a fool. He's acting like a fool. And I think this might be pushing away teams from trading for him, because if you're going to a birthday party right before practice, it just shows you weren't committed. You weren't committed to Houston. He's not committed to Houston. So what shows he's going to be committed to the Sixers or the Bucks or the Heat or the Nets or whatever team that trades for him? What shows he's going to be committed to them? And the Nets trade does not seem like it's happening. When people thought the trade was about to be done, that was reports that was happening, and then the next day the trade's not happening at all. So it's looking like he's not going to go to the Nets. The Sixers, the package they want from the Sixers, Ben Simmons and 3 first-round picks. You don't got to give away Matisse Thybulle. You don't got to give away any other young prospects, because Rockets somehow were to accept the trade without Ben Simmons, which they're not going to do. It will be Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, no, not Seth Curry, maybe Tyrese Maxey, and like three, 4 first-round picks. See, that's crazy. That's crazy, because you're gonna get James Harden, and you're gonna have nothing else. You're gonna have James Harden, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid, and no other depth on that roster. And that's not gonna win that might not win a championship just because it has no other depth, no other pieces. But that can't happen anyway, because Houston rightfully are asking for Ben Simmons. This is a top 5 player in the league. This is a MVP that they're about to trade. They should want Ben Simmons. And many people are saying Philadelphia should make this trade. I'm on the edge. James Harden is a very good player, don't get me wrong. He is a 30-point scorer. He's going to impact your team the second he lands on your team. We know this. This is James Harden. That's what James Harden brings to the table. However, James Harden, problems come with James Harden. Problems come with many star players. And James Harden is one of the players that causes problems. He had problems with Russell Westbrook. After a while, he had problems with Chris Paul. After a while, he had problems with Dwight Howard. After a while. And these problems aren't going to go away. However, does his play on the court justify those problems? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Does his play on the court justify those problems that he will bring to a team? To be honest, Philadelphia have their own problems without James Harden. They had chemistry issues last year without James Harden. They have questions without James Harden. So why not? Because Ben Simmons, I think Ben Simmons is great. I think he has a lot of potential. But Ben Simmons will never be a top 5 player in the league. To me. Because as Ben Simmons hits his prime, there here are guys that will always be over Ben Simmons. Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and his own teammate, Joel Embiid. 5 guys, and I'm not even mentioning Jason Tatum. I'm not even mentioning Jimmy. I'm not even mentioning Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, because I'm saying later. Even James Harden, I'm not even mentioning. But those are the guys that Ben Simmons will never be better than even in his prime. James Harden currently is top 5. Whatever way you split it, he is maybe he's not. He's 6 or 7, but. Ben Simmons is never going to win an MVP. As much as I love Ben Simmons, I think he's a great player. He's never going to win an MVP. He's going to be a good piece to build around and build a great team around and maybe build a championship team around. But in terms of being a top 5 player, which is what James Harden is now, in terms of being an MVP, in terms of bringing that energy, he cannot match James Harden. The first round picks mean nothing. If you're going to be a very competitive team, those are going to be late first round picks that nobody cares about. They mean nothing. If you don't have to give away Matisse Thybulle, a very good young piece, and I think Matisse Thybulle has a lot of potential as a defender, which is one of Harden's worst things. If Harden Philly is going to go to point guard, which I don't know, he might. But if Harden plays point guard over in Philly, or, because I don't know who runs point guard if you make that trade. Steph Curry, Harden, I don't know. You will still have Tobias Harris, probably, because I don't think the Rockets want Tobias Harris. But you could run Harden, Matisse, Tobias, Green, and Joel Embiid. This is a championship level roster, especially the backcourt. Backcourt is Harden and Matisse. Harden's worst quality is his defense. So you complement James Harden with a great defender, an incredible defender. It's one of the best things you could do. Honestly, it's one of the best things you could do. And listen, this team still has problems. Philly still have their fair share of, all right, what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with that? It exists. But right now, nobody's looking at Philly as winning a championship. Philly is not getting past the Lakers. They're not getting past the Bucks. They're not getting past the Nets. I don't even think they're getting past the Clippers if that was to happen. But you had James Harden. They could get past the Bucks. They could get past the Nets. I don't know about the Lakers, but they can give them a fight. And that's what you have to consider when talking about James Harden and Philly. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the edge, but if they want to win a championship, which is what every team should want to do, they should accept the trade. They should accept the James Harden trade, and James Harden should be a Sixer in a few weeks. But is that going to happen? We don't know. Because last time, you got to consider, last time they gave up a lot in picks and a future for a star. It was Jimmy Butler, and he was there for half the season. So I could see why they'd be hesitant to do that again. But there's a whole different GM there. He knows what he's doing. Daryl Morey knows more than anyone what James Harden brings. And I'm sure he's willing to do the trade if that's going to win him a championship. The final preseason game I want to talk about is the Nets playing. It's obviously Westbrook and Bill were not playing. But Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, that was their return to the court after they've been out a very long time. Kevin Durant, even more time. But Durant looked good. He's not. We don't know if he's the Kevin Durant we once saw in OKC winning MVPs and Golden State winning championships. We don't know. But he looked like Kevin Durant, man. He was stepping back. He was hitting that post shot that he's always been doing. He was hitting that pull-up three, and that was what we needed for Kevin Durant. We just wanted to show he has it. He has that same thing that he had. and he has it. Now, will he be able to do it for 72 games? We don't know. But he has it. He's still Kevin Durant. That's all we needed to know. We didn't need him to go out and drop 50. We didn't need any of that. We just needed to get a refresh and know that he's still there and he's good. And we got it. We got it. That's all we needed from Kevin Durant. He showed us it. And Nets are going to be a good team. Now, I've had the Nets coming out of the East since during last season. I was already saying the Nets would come out of the East. Now, obviously, that was way too early. That's before the Bucks traded for Drew Holiday, and this is before the James Harden fiasco. We do not know what's going on with James Harden. But right now, I'd say I still have the Nets coming out of the East. I'd say I still have the Nets coming out of the East. It's going to be pretty tough, but I feel like I have the Nets coming out of the East. But I feel like the Nets and Bucks would be a very good matchup in the conference finals. Same thing for Kyrie. We already know. We know what Kyrie is about. We know. We just needed a refresh. We just needed to see if he was good. He was hitting them crossovers. Kyrie is still unguardable. He's one of the most skilled players in the NBA. He's literally incredible. He was doing Kyrie things. So, the question is, can they maintain it for the course of the season? We don't know. We will see that in 7 days. But right now, Kyrie doing Kyrie things, KD doing KD things. That's what we wanted to see versus the Wizards. And then you have DJ, the Wizards rookie. He was playing. He was looking good. He was looking nice. Denny was looking good, and Denny can complement Westbrook and Bale perfectly. Honestly, I believe Denny's not fit to be a number one option. He's not going to give you 25 points, but if he can have the ball and facilitate and come off screens and hit those jumpers, oh my goodness, he can be so good. I think he fits perfectly as a third star, because Westbrook and Bale are still going to be good for like 3-4 more years. If Denny can develop by that 3rd, 4 more year to an all-star, hey, Westbrook talked about the Wizards winning a championship, and I don't know if that's a long shot, but the Wizards are something to watch. I was also watching a little bit of the Suns and Chris Paul, man. Chris Paul is just like, he's just great. He doesn't cause problems. He just comes in, he brings energy. He wants everyone to play at a high level. He makes everyone on the court better. And I just love the fit of him being on the Suns. He was good in their preseason game. That was his first game as a Sun, and he looked good. So I'm excited to see the Suns play basketball this season. So they play on the 23rd. CP3 and Booker is going to be a very good backcourt. Already one of the top backcourts in the league. And I hope they can maintain it. Okay, the final thing in the basketball section, pretty big. It came literally, I think, a couple hours before I hit record. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He did it, man. He did it. And I'm glad he did. I made a lot of jokes. I thought he wasn't resigning. I really did. Because 6 days. 6 days were left, and the Bucks, it just didn't look good. He was saying stuff like, I'm focused on myself. His barber made the Instagram post. There was no way that this was gonna sign a supermax. There were just so many things, like, he's not signing this contract. And he did. He signed the contract. He signed the supermax, and he is going to stay with the Bucks for at least 5 more years. Now, the Bucks are contenders. The Bucks, they made some moves that they still have their problems, but they're going to be better than they were the last 2 years. They have to get somewhere. They got into the conference finals. They lost in the second round. But they have not gotten past the conference finals. They haven't even gotten to the finals. They haven't even gotten to the point that they can play the Lakers. Can they beat the Lakers? Yeah. Can they beat the Clippers? No. We don't even know that. They haven't even gotten to the point where they can face the Lakers. They haven't gotten to that point. Because teams in their own conference have been better than them. No. I don't even know if they beat the Lakers. I don't think they can beat the Lakers, but now they have. But before you worry about putting the Bucks up against the Lakers, you've got to worry about putting the Bucks up against the Nets, putting the Bucks up against the Sixers, putting the Bucks up against the Celtics, and putting the Bucks up against the team that just beat them, the Miami Heat. Like I talked about earlier, the move of Drew Holiday, they made some nice additions for their bench. They almost got Bogdan Bogdanovic. But They made great things, even not getting Bogdanovich. They got Bobby Portis, they got DJ Augustine, some young players, and I like what they got. I like how they brought things in. And listen, is this enough to win a championship? We still don't know. But is this enough to get farther than you went last year? Yes. But you also have to consider the East is the hardest it has been in forever. Earlier, it was a cakewalk for the Cavs. LeBron and Kyrie were going to beat any other team, and that was just a consensus. And now, it is not like that. It isn't like that. You have to be a really good team to win the East and beat out other really good teams. It was LeBron and the Cavs versus the Raptors, but nobody ever took the Raptors seriously in competing for a title. But now, it is not going to be like that. These other teams are going to be fighting, and they're going to be as good as you were. Now, what does that mean for the Bucks? That means they're going to have to step up their game, man. That means that stuff, losing prematurely, not being good enough, losing to the Heat, building a wall, that means that that's not going to work. You can't do that. You can't lose prematurely. You can't be a great regular season team in 60 games and then choke in the playoffs. You can't do that. You have to be serious because Giannis, he's committing to you. He's believing in you, surrounding enough talent around him. And Giannis has his own problems. Giannis can't develop a consistent jump shot. Giannis struggles at the free throw line. Giannis, when outside of the paint area, he struggles. Giannis has his own problems. But those around him are struggling as well. You're not going to get anywhere. And that's how it's been the past few seasons. But, it's a new season, and it's time to make a change. And I hope the Bucks can do it. I hope the Bucks build around Giannis because Giannis resigning is huge for small markets. It's great, and winning a championship would be even bigger for small markets. So I'm rooting for them, and I hope the Bucks can turn things around and win a chip this year. Moving on to our football section, it's not much to talk about, but there's a little bit of things I want to get into. And the first thing is the Saints. They played the Eagles last week, and one of the biggest upsets we've seen all year. Jalen Hurts was the quarterback. Carson Wentz was moved to the bench, and Jalen Hurts did what nobody expected them to do. He went out and he got the win against a very good Saints team. It was incredible. Jalen Hurts, he didn't get sacked one time. He was very good in that game, and he's going to start again against Arizona. Of course he will. He was great. He was great. So we're gonna see what he does against Arizona. But I don't think he's gonna do that again. I think a lot of rookies have that insane first game, and then they don't really maintain the flow. An example is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a very good game against the Buccaneers, and they beat the Buccaneers. But Daniel Jones could not. He really hasn't been that great since that game. Another example was Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow wasn't seeing his first game, and everybody got on the Tebow train, and he didn't keep the momentum going. And I don't really know how to explain it, but a lot of these rookies are better in their first games than they actually are. Justin Herbert is great though, but in his first game he was head-to-head with Mahomes. He almost beat him in overtime. And a lot of rookies are better in their first games than they actually end up being. So, but nevertheless, it was an impressive win. It showed a lot in the Eagles. Mainly, it showed his running ability. He's not going to get sacked as much as Wentz. He's not going to throw picks as much as Wentz, just because he can get out of the pocket. Wentz is good. Wentz is agile. Wentz can slide pretty well. But he's not going to run for 100 yards in a game. And that's what Jalen Hurts can do that Carson Wentz cannot. So I don't know what we're gonna see of Jalen Hurts from Carolina, but he's not gonna throw 3 interceptions. He's not gonna get sacked, and he might keep that game competitive. We'll see. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does keep that game competitive. I don't know if he will, but I think he can. So good for him, and good for the Philadelphia Eagles to really have something to be happy about. They've had a rough season. They haven't had anything that they can look to and they can be like, all right, this is exciting. We can do something with this. And that's the first time they've gotten that all year. So I'm happy for them. They deserve it. And we'll see what the Eagles do with it. And we'll see if Jalen Hurts keeps that momentum going. Obviously, last night, the Browns and Ravens played. I didn't watch that game like that, but I did watch the highlights. And that looked like a very incredible game. It was back and forth. The ending was insane. Justin Tucker with a great kick. Lamar Jackson went out. He came back. And it was a great game. It might be game of the year. And it showed, if you guys didn't know already, the Cleveland Browns are legit. They're legit, even without Odell Beckham. Austin Hooper, been injured, hasn't been playing well. Even Njoku isn't the same. Baker Mayfield, he's still putting up 40 points a game. He went into the season and it was like, oh my gosh, he has this insane receiving core. Now he's running Landry, Higgins, and Peoples-Jones. This receiving core is not that good. He's got good backs, but what does that have to do with Baker Mayfield? They're running backs. He is doing his best with not that great of a receiving core, not that great. He doesn't have the Chiefs' offensive weapons. He doesn't have the Saints' offensive weapons. He doesn't have that. He's Baker Mayfield, and he's playing well. He's playing really good. He had that incredible game against the Titans. Everyone was talking about it, and people were giving up on him after last year. And I'm like, I don't understand. He had a rough sophomore season, but he's still a very good quarterback, and he's showing that right now. So, congratulations to him, and congratulations for the Browns to keep getting things done. Next thing I want to talk about, even though they lost that game, they're still they're having great games with really good teams. They're beating really good teams, and we'll see what they can do come playoff time. The last thing I want to talk about is the New York Giants, man. New York Football Giants. They were looking very good. They beat the Seahawks with Colt McCoy. Everyone was making jokes about that, but their defense was elite. It was top. It was playing some of the best defense in the league. And then it just collapsed against the Cardinals. The Cardinals were a very good team, and they had DeAndre Hopkins and Murray just ran right through them. They ate them up, as the Cardinals had the potential to do. I didn't know if they actually do it, but I knew they had the potential to do it, and they did that. So the Giants, they are a game behind the Washington football team right now. Alex Smith is starting to play. He's starting to play really good football, and then he got hurt, and he left the game, and Dwayne Haskins finished things. We don't know how long Smith will be out. We don't even know if he'll be out of game. He's trying to play next week, but I like the Giants, and I want them to win, but they need to step up the game. They were playing very good. People thought they were going to win the division, and then boom, 1 week, everything changes. They get blown out by the Cardinals, and now they have the Browns, who was just talking about how good the Browns are, and they're going to have a rough time against the Browns. I don't know if they're going to get the win, but I know the Browns, they are going to give it their best. I hope the Giants just make it a game. I hope the Giants give it their best, make it a game, like they did with the Buccaneers, like they did with the Seahawks, like they can do with many other good teams. But we'll see, and I'll be here next week and the NBA season. I don't know if I'll record after the days of the NBA season. I don't know if I'll record like a day, but I'll probably be after. So we will be. It might be after Christmas. It might be a while before I record next. I don't know, but basketball will be played by the time we get back on this podcast, and whenever that is, I will see ya. As always, if you're watching this point in the podcast, please, thank you, and if you enjoy, please keep watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please give it a like. And this has been a Double Trouble podcast. I'm your host, and I am out.